One.
Hi, everybody. Why is that taking long to load? What's happening? There it is. Okay. Good morning. Um, it's actually Saturday afternoon. It's kind of rainy here. Hopefully, on this Monday morning, when you're actually seeing this, it's sunny. But I decided to come outside and do this in the rain today because I'm going to be talking to you about D Day, which was actually delayed a day because of rain. So maybe that'll help stick in your mind. Um, so on Friday, you guys had an assignment that had primary source documents with regard to a timeline and then primary source documents about D-Day, also called Operation Overlord, which was the plan for the Allies to invade France. And I've always thought that sounds kind of weird because France is our ally. But remember, they had already surrendered. So we had to take back France from Germany. So that is what D-Day is. The term D-Day has several possible meanings depending on the source that you look at. Some say it means doomsday, some say it means detonation day, but it's typically the day of commencement of a big activity. So D-Day plus one would be one day after the attack. D-Day plus two would be 2 days after the attack. D-Day minus one would be the day before the attack. Got it? Okay, so last week we talked about the war and how when the United States enters the war, we are going to first get involved in Operation Torch and take North Africa. That is going to divide the troops for the Germans and the Italians to now they have to fight a three-front war. Because in Operation Barbarossa, Germany invades the Soviet Union, so they're no longer frenemies. Then we move up the boot of Italy, and Germany has to come secure Italy. And now that third front is going to be the Western Front. And that is the plan of Operation Overlord, to try to invade France. So here's a quote by Dwight Eisenhower that I love, that actually answers a question from the worksheet on Friday that says, "These men came here to storm these beaches for one purpose only, not to gain anything for ourselves, not to fulfill any ambition that America had for conquest, but just to preserve freedom, systems of self-government in the world." So by the time 1944 rolls around and the United States and the Allies in general are preparing to invade France, this war has become about something more than conquest and defense. It is about securing freedoms for all people, securing the fact that you can have what kind of government you want, where you want. We are fighting, dictators and warmongers like Mussolini and Hitler. So we feel that this is a really a divine calling in this war. And that's what's going to motivate the men to be willing to engage in this invasion, which was expected to have such catastrophic casualties. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot about D-Day because I feel like the activity you guys did Friday really did a nice job of telling you what it is, but I want to give you just some layers to it so you understand a little bit more. I know you like to have things explained to you, and that's my job. So as I mentioned at some point, the United States or the Allied countries that were taken over, their leaders that were overthrown, many of them will escape to England. So they'll be, hiding out in London, jolly good London, so that if and when they take over their land again, they've got a government ready to just go right back into place, which is really smart leadership. So basically what happens with the plan for Operation Overlord is for 2 full years, the Allies are planning this. Eisenhower, as I mentioned, in 44 is going to become the supreme commander of the Allied troops, the AEF, the Allied Expeditionary Forces, and he's going to coordinate this whole thing. It is considered the best kept secret of the war. And probably in today's era of media and 24-hour footage of everything, I don't know that we could successfully create another D-Day. So D-Day is D-Day is the plan for us to take troops from England, cross the English Channel, and storm the beaches of what is called Normandy. Now, if you look at this map, you may look at this and say, well, that's kind of a fat chunk of water to go across. It'd be a lot shorter here. This distance from Dover, England to Calais, France is much shorter. And so what we did before the invasion is we started bombing the heck out of Calais. We also sent George Patton with a dummy army up here in Dover, and he actually had recorded sounds of troops moving. And because we knew that they had spies everywhere, so they saw him running drills over there. And so the idea was to lure German defenses north towards Calais. We also had a dead body. We didn't kill the person; he was already deceased. A dead body wash ashore, which had incorrect intelligence about what this invasion was going to be. So Germany knew that we were planning an invasion. They just didn't know the details of it. And so we had all of these plans in place to try to fool them. And you saw some of that in the video on Friday, that the Coast Guard video that showed you the training of the men, how they were having to learn how to disembark from a boat in water and go up a beach. All of these things took 2 years for us to prepare for. The men didn't know where they were going until the night before. So here's the ultimate plan. The plan is to take the troops from England and cross the English Channel and storm 5 beaches in Normandy. Those beaches are Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. Okay, and you can see from the flags who was where. So the United States is going to be on Utah and Omaha. And Aaron, that's right, we were there. So Omaha Beach is going to have some of the highest casualties of the invasion. Now at this time, I would normally take you guys outside. We'd lock the door. You'd be super excited because we're going outside, and we would stand right at the end of the parking lot behind the PAC, and I would show you how high F building is, and I would say, now imagine Carlisle Avenue as the ocean, and now this is a beach, and we have to get across it before anybody shoots us from F building. And it would be great fun, but alas, we cannot do that. So I will just show you pictures. So Utah and Omaha, again, American beaches. What they have to do is well, let me tell you this first. So you guys read on Friday Eisenhower's speech to the men. Basically, what he has to do is convince the men to get on boats, to not know exactly what their destination is, to encourage them to, when the boats land, get off in the water, crawl up a beach, knowing that there's really, really high ground ahead of them that is fortified with all sorts of weaponry, and try to storm that beach, not be killed, take out the Germans, and somehow move into France. I mean, I'd be like, see you later, Ike, you're crazy. And you saw his speech. His speech is all about camaraderie, heroism, courage, gratefulness of a nation for what you're willing to do. Eisenhower had the ability to make you believe that what you were doing was bigger than yourself. And so the men got on those boats. They're called Higgins boats, and you've seen them before. These are the Higgins boats. They're basically like the back of a pickup truck, right? So this tailgate will go down. So here they are. They can't really see what's coming ahead of them. You see the high ground up here. They're going to move towards the beach, and when they hit it, they drop that tailgate, and then they have to get off the boat. So understand that the Germans are up above looking at them, and they start firing. There will be 17 boats that will go down, and the people will not even get off of them. There's about 500 men on a boat, and they won't even be able to disembark before the firing hits them. It's terrifying. It's utterly terrifying. So here's the plan. On June 5th of 1944, the invasion was supposed to happen, but there were storms, like today, that came upon me as I was on a run. It was lovely. So the plan was to go on June 5th. The weather did not cooperate, so they delayed it 1 day. Well, if any of you have ever been on any kind of body of water, the day after it rains, it's real choppy, right? And it's usually kind of windy and visibility's not great. But they said, we got to go. So the invasion of D-Day will happen on June 6th of 1944. And yes, indeed, you do have to know that date. So on June 5th, the night before the invasion, these guys here, the 101st Airborne and the 82nd Airborne, will be sent behind enemy lines. They will be sent there in the cover of dark, dropped out of an airplane. These are paratroopers. They're going to be dropped out of an airplane, and their job is to infiltrate from behind. So they're going to be dropped behind enemy lines, and their goal is to knock out all those big guns that are up on the cliffs. That's the plan. Unfortunately, we missed almost all of the landing spots that we intended to hit. Some of the maps were no longer correct. The cloud coverage was so bad that the visibility didn't get them where they needed to be. But imagine being dropped out of a plane in the dark behind enemy lines in the middle of a war. I mean, it's terrifying. One of the things they used, and I bought one when I was at Utah Beach, and I didn't bring it home with me. They used what were called crickets. So when you're dropped behind the enemy lines and it's dark and you're trying to make your way to your target and you hear another person coming, I don't know about you, but my first thought is I'm going to shoot them or I'm going to turn and run, in which case I'll probably get shot. So what they had is they had these little like aluminum clickers, and they would press it down and then it pops up. So it goes just like that. So they would use those crickets. So you had those in your hand when you were moving, because if I clicked it, you would click it back to me to let me know you're friend. If you don't click it back, I shoot you because I assume you're foe. So, I mean, these guys are asked a lot. I think being dropped out of an airplane might be one of the bravest jobs anybody's ever had in time of war. So that is the first goal. Get these guys behind the line, knock out some of the really big guns. And then the Higgins boats will come on June 6th in the morning. These guys are put on these boats. They're jammed onto the boats. Many of them have never seen battle. They've been practicing this disembarkment for a while, as you saw in the video. But, it's one thing to practice, it's another thing to do. Has any of you have ever played a sport or been involved in any kind of a concert or anything like that? No. Understand that, and you guys know this, like if you've ever jumped in the pool in your clothes weigh 10 times more when you get out than they did when they were dry. Well, these guys, look at what they've got on them. They've got sacks, they've got guns, they've got hats, they've got everything. So when they hit the water to get out, everything, their 40-pound pack is now a 100-pound pack. Plus, they've got people firing at them. Some men never even make it out of the boat. They're shot and killed immediately. Others lose their gun at the bottom of the channel. Others, their gun pulls them under and drowns them, pardon me, in the channel. So their goal is to get across this water, then get up the beach, and then get up the high ground. And you guys know from Gettysburg, this high ground makes Little Round Top look like an anthill, right? So that is pretty well fortified. So here they are marching across the water and going towards there. Again, it takes some amazing bravery to run towards these heights and not away. But where are you going to go? Once you've crossed in the boat, I mean, you're not swimming home. Here's a picture that I took this summer when we were, or I guess it was last summer, when we were at Normandy. So here are the beaches. I'm sorry. Here's the depth of the cliffs that they're looking at. It's unbelievable. I mean, it really is a suicide mission, as I said. So what's my next slide? Oh, I will just tell you this one thing. So when we were at Normandy last summer, it was the 75th anniversary of the invasion. I don't see Aaron there. I see Alan back here. Anyway, and so we were just a few days ahead of the celebration. And so there were all of these veterans from the invasion there. This guy is a British soldier. He's a British veteran, and he had landed on Sword Beach. Oh my gosh, that was probably my favorite part of the entire trip, seeing him. As a matter of fact, being at Normandy, I was kind of an emotional mess the whole time. I just loved every bit of it. Okay, so the plan. We are invading these 5 beaches. We're going to land our men on the beaches, and they're going to have to fight their way up against all odds with very high casualties. We will successfully storm the beaches of Normandy. We will secure those beaches and the cliffs, And then we will slowly but surely move our way towards Paris. So the goal, once we get anybody into France, is to move then towards Paris. Within a month of landing on the beaches of Normandy, we will have 1 million Allied troops in France. They will be aided partly by what we call the Free French, or the Marquis in France, the ones who opposed Hitler's rule. They would help us by hiding American soldiers, feeding American soldiers. They would flash a letter of the day up in the sky to us, and then we would know it was a safe spot to drop food. So it was a whole coordinated invasion with both civilians and soldiers. And it is, to this day, the greatest land and sea and air invasion in our history. It is a huge, huge success. There's a reason we make such a big deal out of it. And I think the best movie made about it, it was made again by Steven Spielberg, and it is Saving Private Ryan. So the rest of your lesson today is to watch the clip that I have posted in Classroom. And it is the landing scene from Saving Private Ryan. Let me just warn you, the language is not good. I know you're not shocked to find out that when people are firing a gun at you, you don't go, "Aw, shucks," right? So there is some language. If you're uncomfortable with it, don't watch it. There's a lot of bloodshed. Again, if that's going to make you vomit, then don't watch it. But I will say that it's so authentically made that after when he first released the film, he actually did a private showing for veterans, and they opened up therapy hotlines for the veterans because it was so realistic that they felt like they might need somebody to talk to. And what I want you to do is I want you to watch it. I think it's a 15-minute clip, maybe. I want you to watch it, and I want you to compare it to what I had you watch Friday. So what I had you watch Friday was put out by the federal government, right? And now what you're going to watch today is something that was created many, many years later, using primary and secondary sources. And it tells the same story, but with a very different message. And I think you'll enjoy it. And let's face it, you guys got some time on your hands. If you want to get on Netflix or wherever and watch the whole movie, I highly recommend it, because it's actually based on a true story of brothers that they're looking for to save Private Ryan, because a mother was in danger of losing all of her children. So I hope you guys are doing well and you enjoyed your weekend, and see you soon.